Okay, so reaching the future generations of sports fans is what we're going to talk about, not for 90 minutes but for 60, and we're going to be looking into what younger generations are looking for when it comes to engaging with sports, also how data can be used to shape dedicated content strategy, and monetizing near live rights and highlights. This is something we've seen in recent years becoming an ever increasingly important part of rights deals between broadcasters and the rights holders. So they sometimes sold separately, don't necessarily go to the broadcasters. Anyway, let's talk about all of that. To do so, I'm joined by Diogo Canas, and you're head of social media at Benfica. And initially I was going to start off by asking you, what do you do to organise social media in the down season? Then I realised there isn't really one anymore. The league ends, and I'm sure Benfica will be off to some tour of the United States or somewhere to promote the brand. So presumably your marketing shifts for them at that area at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So also, like apart from football, we have a lot of other sports. So the sports activity it never stops.
Right.
For in that case, like we always have players renewing contracts, players leaving the club, and the
rumours about players.
Exactly.
I guess you don't stir those. You just wait for other people to do the publicity for you.
Yeah, exactly.
What other sports, by the way?
So everything you can possibly imagine, we have it. So we have 10 indoor teams, 5 masculine and 5 feminine. So volleyball, basketball, futsal, roller hockey, volleyball, and athletics, judo, water polo.
I guess with roller hockey, it's a constant selection of tweets about injuries. Right, Nikolai Zapanos is Content Partnerships Lead in CE for TikTok. So you're, I guess, speaking to people like Diogo here and also and others around your part of the world.
Yes, exactly. So me and my team, we are responsible for partnerships and community around the Central and Eastern European market. And we are helping our partners reach new audiences and reach their new targets and audiences and reach their goals basically.
Okay, we'll look forward to talking more about that. Denis Galetsky is Deputy Head of Audiovisual Rights International for DFL. That's a Deutsche Fußball League, is that correct? And how does that fit in with? I guess people will also be familiar with the Bundesliga. How do you organise things in Germany?
Probably I should say Bundesliga. It's easier to explain, but so DFL, we are responsible for the 36 professional football clubs, meaning Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2. And we're responsible, we are commercializing the league rights, so media rights, sponsoring rights, and we are also organizing the league structure. So this is where we distinct ourselves. The DFB, German FA, is responsible for the national team and all the lower leagues. So this is actually the differentiation.
And helping to make all of these things work, our final 2 panelists. Joe Nichols is Solutions Architect for Backlight, and that sort of brings together a couple of organisations, I think. How does that fit and work?
Yeah, that's right. So Backlight is a private equity backed company, which a global tech company, which has acquired like six different companies, and the division I'm representing, Backlight Streaming, is really Wild Mocker. And also Zype. Zype is really providing cloud infrastructure, OTT and play-out experiences, and Wildmocker is about production of content, so live streaming, editing, repurposing and distributing that content.
So they nicely sort of fit in together in a way, don't they?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
It's rather like this panel. And finally, Thijs Swijndeveld is VP Sales EMEA and APAC for Conviva, but you weren't at Conviva last time we spoke, so you made the move.
Well, thanks, Julian, and thanks, everyone. Really happy to be here. Yes, let me answer your last question first. Yes, I was at Comcast, and really happy to make a move to join Conviva. And the reason why I joined Conviva is I see a growing importance of supporting companies to take the right decision faster. The importance of collecting reliable data, get the right insight, but basically turn that straight away into interaction, either to prevent problems, either to mitigate problems or keep impact on your customer audiences as limited as possible, right? And that's also the relevance of being on this panel, because trying to have accurate measurement, identify issues, and even prevent these issues to hit your customer screen becomes quite challenging in a live sports situation, because that's kind of the Formula One of measurement and actionable data.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Let's start off. I'm wondering the countries which generate the biggest engagement amongst fans. Nicholas, I'll ask you first. I can imagine you'll say everywhere, but there's clearly some territories which perform better than others.
Yes, you're definitely right. We are used everywhere. And actually, TikTok is used by more than 1 billion people every month. And just some weeks ago, we were celebrating that we are inspiring creativity and bring joy across the United States for more than 150 million people, which makes up of nearly half of the country's population. But we are also incredibly honored to be a home for a diverse community also across Europe and around the world, and also among...
And growth is still coming to the platform. It's not something which is standing still, I guess. Hence your need to do various partnership deals to make sure that the growth continues.
Yeah, markets are evolving and we are having more and more users everywhere, so it's definitely a great progress.
Okay. Dennis, the obvious answer is Germany, but outside of Germany?
Yeah, and looking at it from a entire Bundesliga ecosystem, so by that meaning media partners, Bundesliga clubs, and also our own operated channels. It's Germany, obviously, but then US and China. But this is the easy answer. Like the more, I would say, differentiated one is, it really depends on our media partners and where do they leverage our content in the best possible way. We had an interesting discussion, for example, in Africa, Facebook is still very important, whereas it's declining in other countries, so they need to tailor it for Facebook. So yeah, but the easy answer is US and China.
I guess we all became Bundesliga fans as the first league to get underway after lockdown. Lots of people in lots of different countries were enjoying that. Jogo, finish with you on this. Where are the territories that you do well outside of the homeland, of course?
Yeah, outside of Portugal. So Angola, and Mozambique, for example.
I guess they're the place of the Portuguese ties, really.
Yeah, the Portuguese-speaking countries for sure. Brazil, obviously, but also like the countries that have big Portuguese communities. France, for example, like Paris is the third biggest Portuguese city apart from Lisbon and Porto. Like it has almost like 1 million Portuguese.
So more people living there than in some parts of Portugal.
Yeah. Like huge immigration back in the 60s and the 70s. So obviously, like those countries generate good levels of engagement as well.
And how do you use? What are your sort of main platforms? I think just as much tactics really to in the use of social media to both bring on new fans and to retain or simply keep happy those fans that you already have.
Okay, so the best one nowadays, it's definitely TikTok. The way the app and the For You page is designed, It really allows the content to travel and reach new territories.
And what does, I don't want to do Nicolette's job for her, but what does TikTok have here that, you mean to say LinkedIn doesn't, but no, say Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, what are they getting right?
I mean, like, the algorithm is just different. Like, the whole concept of the platform is just different than the rest. Like, when they came out, I mean, there wasn't anything like it. And now, like, all of the rest are trying, like, to mimic and copycat.
So it's distinctly different. I sometimes think that, you know, Facebook is sort of like an elongated domestic version of Twitter. They're similar in many ways, whereas TikTok is distinctive on its own.
Yeah, the thing is, like, Meta and Twitter and Google, like with YouTube, like, they're trying to do exactly the same. With YouTube Shorts, with Reels, like Meta is really pushing Facebook Reels, for example, because, you know, vertical is working everywhere, and it's just like the way to go. And the way the content gets to where it's relevant, it's what they are trying, like, to copycat.
I guess it's a combination of what something looks like and how your content could look, but also the important thing of actually getting to the right people.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Nicolette, I guess, you know, innovation is clearly, from what we're hearing here, something which is important for TikTok.
Yeah, innovation is definitely important, but I think what I would like to start with is the fact that actually TikTok is not a social media platform. TikTok is an entertainment platform. Because despite the fact that our users...
Is it not halfway between the two?
No, I will explain you why.
Okay.
Because despite the fact that our users have millions of followers, TikTok was not built so that users can connect with their friends or follow their friends or connect with their family. The only important thing in TikTok is content. And if new users have the opportunity to reach millions with a new video, with a single video, because every single user who posts a video on TikTok receives equal chances to reach the audience. And that's the beauty about it. And the only thing you need is great content and a message that resonates to people. And if it does, then you have the great chance to go viral. And the proof just sits beside me. And also, one general thing I also would like to emphasize, that every day millions of real people come to TikTok to create, recreate, and bring joy. And creativity is how they express themselves, create trends, and come together. And TikTok also celebrates storytellers. And we witness this positive impact that creativity and storytelling bring to the TikTok community. And that's the secret.
So you're calling out almost for producers, I guess, in the same way that TV
producers, I don't only mean creators. I also mean athletes, sports clubs, organizations, institutions. So basically, it's the same for everyone.
Okay. Dennis, how about you? Your use of social platforms and how, or entertainment platforms perhaps, and using them to engage further with fans.
Yeah, I just can say again, like, we are in the end catering our international media partners, and they are very diverse. We have 70 plus media partners representing 210 countries. We didn't make it to North Korea yet, so there's still one to go, but yeah, so they are very diverse. I mentioned Africa, so they are more relying on Facebook. So for us in the end, or in the beginning actually, we want to provide a toolkit for our media partners to provide them with content that fits on the various platforms, and they can then really leverage for their needs and for their platforms, whether it's traditional broadcast, social media platforms, OTT, you name it. So this is how our entire product portfolio is structured.
And the use of clips is the obvious thing. Is there an optimum length as to how long a clip should be, or does that in itself vary according to the platform it's going out on?
We also just joke that TikTok is considering 1 minute long format content. So having from football 90 minutes match, we consider highlights of 90 seconds length already, or still short form content. Also there, it's no easy answer, it really depends on the platform. Everybody knows for YouTube it's a little bit longer than for TikTok or Instagram, so it really depends on the platform in the end. And also there, and we talk about optimization, more being scalable. There are a lot of solutions out there, and also thanks to the industry. We partnered with WSC back then, so automated highlight clip creation, so that we are able to cater all those different needs, whether they're asking for 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
So that's interesting. How easy is it to automate something that can go on to any one of a number of platforms? Is the automation there? It probably is with AI. To I don't know. If there's a goal, and for one platform you might do a 15-second clip, but for another you're able to give a little bit more to the build-up to it and make that clip, I don't know, 30 seconds. Is that the kind of thing that happens?
Exactly. So you can just type in the definitions and also the format size, obviously. 16 by 9 or 9 by 16. The difference.
Formatting, oh my goodness.
So it's just, the length is just one part of the equation. Yeah, but yes, that's where we are at, and also even going one step further, and we are wrapping our heads that we add even more storytelling to it, so that you have automated graphics coming into those clips, and also.
And I guess those graphics as well have to be in different places and different positions, again according to the platform.
Yeah, again, definitely.
Jody, I guess you might tell me it's more than this, but I seem to remember having a conversation with somebody once who was producing something like 30 different versions of a clip every time something was produced.
Yeah, that's kind of a day in the life of operating a wild market platform. It allows you to do exactly that. I mean, we're serving the needs of over 100 tier 1 broadcasters who are covering critical live sporting events. But there's a long tail of sporting events at lower tier broadcasters and sports as well. And as you rightly mentioned, there's a need to address the overall fragmentation of the market. Reach those audiences in owned and operated platforms, but also across the whole spectrum of social media. And to do that, you have to present the content in different formats, have that content that's still aligned with your brand. So your formatting has to be correct, whether it's vertical or square, depending on the platform you're delivering to, but also depending on the scale at which you're operating. Some of our customers have to deliver to lots of different territories. So you have to localize
formats, times, language,
Yeah, exactly. Subtitling, languages, graphics, pre-roll, post-rolls in those different languages, but also those video feeds could be carrying different languages as well. So you've got different commentators. Like for example, Discovery, they've got like 14 different commentators, across the different feeds for the Olympics. So yeah, it's very, very challenging, but it's also an opportunity to really centralize and industrialize the entire process, and simplify it. So the benefits of that, and for your audience, is increased speed, of content creation and delivery, increased relevance as a result of that, and of course increased value to your sponsors as well. If you want to monetize that content, if you're first and consistently first in creating that content, then obviously you're going to be more valuable to sponsors.
It's rather like the conversation we had about finding and discovering TV. It's something here which is, on the face of it, fairly simple and straightforward to the person who's on the receiving end. But those people involved at any stage of the production chain, it's actually quite a complex process.
Yeah, it is, and I think if you listen to what the rest of the audience has to say, there's a lot of factors involved, right, to make the right decisions, right? The way we look at it is, step one is to basically collect reliable data. And that's an interesting, claim, because what is actually the definition of that? So are we looking at green flags from CDNs or smiley faces that we're doing great? Or are we actually collecting a reliable frame-to-frame feedback on how our video or basically the user session in an app is getting along? And why is that relevant? If we collect data on that granular level, right, if we talk about making the right decisions, right, on segmentation, on what content to put in front of who, what, let's say, promotional actions or bundling is actually successful or not successful, I would say the only way to go is actually to implement a data-driven approach. Create a constant feedback loop where you are measuring actually what the end viewer is seeing, literally on its screen, recognizing all the different device types. Basically making sure that all that feedback is collected in one unified place. And then basically give the different stakeholders access to that data. If you're technical, you have basically different problems to solve than you're in, for example, a content team or you're doing your acquisition. Then the other part is if we then start learning things and we see that we have issues and challenges where we can find optimizations, are we then looking in the past, whereas that whole event is already gone or that session is already broadcasted? Or do we implement a way where we can find real-time actionability to start influencing the content selection or the segmentation?
I guess on the editorial side, to inform, not necessarily take the decisions, but to inform and make those decisions better. Well, or are we taking it out of the hands of journalists and moving it towards completely automated?
So are you now saying that you feel a little bit sweaty about your future as a journalist? Or, no, don't worry, we're not taking over. What I'm trying to say, let me give you two examples. All right, last year we worked for Cox. Cox was streaming the Super Bowl event, right? And at that Super Bowl, in the moment, we were actually seeing that there was a delivery issue in a certain geographical area for a certain group of people, on a certain screen, running a certain operating version. And that's quite bizarre if you spend like billions of acquiring the Super Bowl rights, right? We have been able to mitigate the issue, basically redirect the CDN. So at that point in time, you don't want to have a human discussion. You just want to have an actionable data platform triggering the action and basically say, start streaming that content stream via another CDN and basically mitigate the issue, right? Another example for, is shortly before FIFA World Cup, we supported one of our other customers. And to basically say, look, you have an issue, we identify it, but if you now multiply that by tens of millions concurrent streams, you have like a major impact. This is how you need to solve it. So that's where you want the system to interfere and to take action directly. If we talk about editorials, of course, the thing you want to do is provide insight. So that's where you basically allow those stakeholders to access that data, run their own queries, and if they want to do an AI-based, great. And if they want to take a human decision, also great. But you need to provide a data-driven implementation.
What are the clips, the styles which work best on particular platforms? Let me think. Let me start with Dennis, perhaps. As to what are the things that you do? Maybe there's a particular competition or success story that you can share a little bit on.
Also, there's not one answer for every media partner, but I would say key is authenticity. So whether it's like obviously near live highlight clips are very popular, but also then for other platforms it's not maybe about the match day, it's something else. We also provide a social media match day feed, so where we really are close to the players when they get off the bus, and also going into the dressing room to some extent. So this is not no traditional rights.
So the sort of thing where, I don't know, it sometimes happens in the final of the cup competition, but generally speaking, you don't see that sort of thing as part of the TV coverage. So it gives something special to the platform that you're sharing it with.
Exactly, and it depends on what would you like to achieve as a media partner. Should it drive audience to your subscription page or to the main match or whatever? So it really depends how they use it in the end. But yeah, authenticity is key, and then it's hard to say whether it's like a player dancing, scoring a goal. It really depends on the situation. Yep.
I guess you've got to be careful that you don't do something that will actually, if you're doing it with a particular partner, and they might have, I don't know, some live rights before doing some social media with them as well. You don't want to do something that then stops people watching the main broadcast, or maybe people multitasking when it doesn't matter.
For us, always key is geo-blocking. We don't allow anything if it's not proper geo-blocked.
Good point. That's
for Instagram, quite everybody probably knows, was quite a challenge for a while.
Yeah, we have this thing in the UK. I don't know if other countries have it. It's on a Saturday afternoon when the main football programme takes place, 3 o'clock. You're not allowed to show football because, I don't know, Cambridge United in the raid, who would want to go to see them? When Manchester United or Manchester City or Arsenal are on screen. So I guess you have almost like your own version of that to get around.
Unfortunately not. So we are also, in the UK, we are also banned by the blocked hours. That's why they need to pick around those matches that are not falling into the afternoon or the noon schedule. But now they, at least like, I think the lower tier leagues are over, so they are able to show Bundesliga for the last matches on 15:30. So you can look forward to it.
Yeah. Jimmy, what works for you in terms of what you're putting out?
Well, in terms of rights, we own the home games for the Portuguese league. We have a TV channel, so we can show pretty much anything.
Which is unusual, in Europe at least.
We are very lucky with that. So in terms of content and what works best, we try as much as possible to follow the platform's guidelines. And then we are assessing all the time if the content performs, if people are engaging, and then we adapt. Sometimes, you get something from a partner that it's not like in the right format, and we try to adapt it, or we decide, okay, let's try it and see if it performs. The next time, perhaps we will ask the partner, okay, give me all the formats, and we adapt to each platform what we think it will perform and reach the most amount of people. But nowadays it's really vertical. That's the way to go.
You know what? I don't know if you have any data you want to share on this or not, but presumably fans may follow you on more than one social platform. They may very well be following you on TikTok, but they could be following you on Instagram as well, say.
Yeah, for sure. We see that through comments. We can spot, okay, this person is saying, oh, you should post these on YouTube. Why not? Why are you not doing it? Maybe your tone of voice on Instagram should be the same as TikTok, and it's really good feedback to be able to see, okay, this person is following us on different platforms and is requiring a different type of content for each one. So we try to analyze as much as possible and see what really resonates with the different audiences that sometimes are following us on different ones.
Nicola, how do you TikTok work with organisations to reaching fans outside of the traditional broadcast model? What sort of projects have you done there?
It's a very good question because actually I would like to start with the fact what distinguishes TikTok among other platforms is the opportunity to reach a unique audience, a unique audience of a new generation kind of audiences that are increasingly difficult to find on television or any other platforms, because from some time already we live in this age of participation and we understand that it's a need of the community to participate as well. And it's completely different on TikTok because TikTok is more about the journey rather than this perfect finished product. So the secret is to take the community along with you on the ride. And let me just mention 3 examples which I think are very great to answer your questions. And the first is actually related to a partnership. basically all partnerships were from 2022, we started a partnership with UK non-league football club, Burnley FC Women. And what they did is, with a unique approach, they decided to live stream their matches exclusively on TikTok. And this, of course, brought them amazing results, because I think in 2022 they live streamed 13 matches with an average unique viewership of 33,000, which for a non-league women UK football club is a very amazing result. And I think just some week ago they reached even 1 million unique viewers for their lives, and this not only resulted in reaching new audiences and also increased their fandom outside of the football fans. It also resulted in financial support, because the club is giving them increase the financial support towards the team, and they also gained new sponsors for the next league. So it's definitely a great proof that there's a new way, it's a completely different way to use audiences. And the second example I would like to mention is actually my personal favorite as a former handball player. It's a partnership with the European Handball Federation. Because in 2022, for the men's EHF Euro 2022, which took place in Hungary and Slovakia, we started a partnership, and what the European Handball Federation did is basically they tried to see if they are able to reach new audiences or even new handball fans on TikTok. And I think the results speak for itself, because today they have more than 710,000 followers on their profile. Their TikTok profile is the biggest accounts among all. This Home of Handball channel gained also handball content gained in general more than 100 million views during the championship. And also I think this is a good example that and this proves the power of TikTok to generate viralness, viral content, is that one of the videos reached 42 million views organically during the championship. So one single handball video. And we also live streamed some throwback matches with also over 1 million views. So this is also a new way of reaching audiences, and since these lives were an instant hit with the community, this also proves that.
And does it work in both directions, insofar as people become aware through friends that the handball clip happens to be on TikTok, which is rather good, and consequently then people sign up to TikTok as well?
Friends can also share content, but the algorithm, so TikTok helps you, helps the organizer.
People signing up to TikTok platform and maybe haven't been interested previously, word comes out, I don't know, the TikTok logo appears on an advertising billboard at the game or whatever.
Definitely, if they see that they can watch the Burnley FC women matches live on TikTok, then we definitely hope that they sign up. And there's the third example, that we quickly just share this one because it's a different one. We started a partnership and became the title sponsor for the Women's Six Nations. And this resulted in increasing match attendance. So match attendance increased by 69%. And basically every single match attendance during the season broke records. And they also, their account, I think, generated over 108 million views also. So
yeah, pretty good going. Keith, we touched on data a little while ago, but specifically in terms of using data so we can understand what the younger sports fan is doing, the next generation, probably even below the younger members of this panel today. What can data tell us there?
Again, yeah, actually a lot. Data is learning us to build segments, and these segments are important. And segments can be very simple, right? Just people watching the same sport. It's something you can measure. And then as a second step, you can start enriching that information to, for example, geolocation and, for example, device types that are most commonly used. And then step two is you start enriching that segment data with, for example, data that the publisher themselves have, right? Because you guys know probably what age they are and maybe what other preferences they have. And then basically shifting gear to basically the third source, which is, adding third-party data information, is actually enabling you to build pretty granular profiles. And that's basically how we help. That's step one. Step two is that you basically start broadcasting that content on whatever device type, right? Because one other aspect is, it's not one linear way to build that segment, right? It's basically a segment on each and every device type, and then figure out what is the content productization that actually works against that segment and that device type. Then you are again in that feedback loop, because that feedback loop needs to tell you, right, is that productization, that content definition, is that working actually against that segment that we have created? And then you start basically changing things, and you start measuring, and then you start saying, all right, what does that mean for my engagement? Is it increasing? And engagement obviously leads to a better monetization. So again, how we help is basically provide reliable, actionable data to build these segments and to then provide continuous feedback on how we are doing.
Dennis, there's a type of information that Thijs can provide. How would you then sort of act upon it in reaching particularly a younger demographic?
Yeah, he's totally right. So I would say, first of all, data gathering or data, to make data-based decision making, it's utmost important to have reliable data. And also there, it's one crucial pillar for us to develop our product portfolio. It starts with, for us, such easy things like downloads or pickup from our media partners. Then it's to implementation, to the various platforms. You need to track them. Where do they publish it? How long? Is it only our content like we originally provided, or do they touch it? So there are so many questions after that one. And also, I always, and this is my personal belief, in the end, everybody talks data is important, but in the end, for us, it also needs to be digestible. Because we have a lot of data coming in around, and we need to work with it, and we don't have unlimited resources. And I can't, for myself, I just can't crunch numbers all day. So that's why we need to then also bring to that point what is important for us, what data enables us to make the decisions we need to take. Maybe without being that abstract, I talked about the social media matchday feed. So first step, we produce 300 assets, the various clubs on matchday. Then we have just a pickup from 60 pieces by our media partners. And then ending up maybe a portion of them on the platform. So we say, okay, we don't need to produce something nobody wants to take on their platform. So this is the one part of the equation, and it will.
Thijs, I think do you want to come back on that a bit?
Yeah, one thing that I think to chime in on what you're saying is a couple of years back, I think we all recognized that data was very important. We started to collect data, and two things I would like to comment on that is data is only relevant when it actually is measured in a correct way, but secondly, if data is not implemented in a way that you get insight and you can take action, actually that data is creating a problem. And the problem is that we're going to drown in a data lake because it doesn't tell us what to do. It doesn't give us a sort of a direct call to action on how to solve the problem.
That's a good point. I wanted to ask you, Jodie, I'll find my line, here we are. In terms of then getting value from what's put on the social media and OTT through, say, advertisers and sponsors, how do you sort of squeeze that value out?
Yeah, so I think, value can be derived from the different aspects of content creation, from live streaming to clipping. Clipping can be, short form, longer form, but also highlights. And I think that, also through integrations as well, so being able to distribute to social media platforms and owned and operated platforms. So I think the value is being able to first be able to create the content in the form that's needed, whether it be live to begin with, The second thing is to be able to deliver that content to those platforms, but also leverage, if you're integrating to social media platforms, leverage those platform native capabilities. So, for example, like activate monetization for, say, Twitter, Twitter Amplify, as an example, or an innovation that we've recently developed in conjunction with YouTube's development team is the ability to dynamically add markers into the stream and trigger, on YouTube's side, contextual advertising. And some of our customers are trialing it, are calling it the money printer, because they have that capability and that control to choose exactly when those ads are placed and the length of those ads as well. So that's really important, and I think also, if we're delivering to own and operated platforms, to have those integrations where we can also activate on the OTT side, whether it be our own OTT platform, Zyke, or whether it be something like Brightcove, being able to send that metadata to activate those campaigns on those platforms.
Do you think our sort of sponsored commercial partners, are they wise to the fact that this sort of thing can happen? I know sometimes there's a bit of an education process that does need to go on.
Yeah, and it's constantly evolving and shifting, but yeah, definitely the partner managers within broadcasters and federations themselves are brokering those deals, up front. So yes, definitely. And I think having those integrations really, maximise those advertising opportunities, but also opportunities with sponsors as well, values with sponsors. So you can, activate or with our, with the graphics engine, apply sponsored branding, things like pre-roll.
Presumably this would have to be agreed way back in the agreement, because there would be things that you would need to discuss. Placement of logo, colour of logo, or whatever it might be.
In all the different formats, whether it be square or vertical,
yes.
Decide, how that content will be delivered, whether it's direct to sponsors' own social media platforms, or whether it's being delivered as a file transfer to them. There's plenty of opportunity, but also what we're seeing is a shift towards more non-intrusive advertising. So, as you see on like TikTok, for example, we're seeing like ads as entertainment, where you're having these collaborations.
It's always been entertainment. Well, some of them anyway.
Where you have like very subtle product placement. You have like a celebrity chef or an influencer that's providing some sort of entertainment, but there is very subtly placed some form of product and branding within that entertainment. Which is better received, right? Because it's not just like a mid-roll inserted, a 30-second mid-roll in the middle of a 20-second clip. That would be very annoying, right?
And Nicolette, how is TikTok working with commercial partners?
With commercial partners, it's I think I would answer this question from a different point of view, and would get back a little bit to this data and analytical question, because it also relates kind of a little bit, because there's important to understand the difference between the profiles we offer partners. So there's the individual creator profile and there's a business profile. And the business profile provides the opportunity detailed analytics, offers more data. But I think it's also very important that TikTok provides a unique opportunity not to be too much dependent on data, because it basically offers you the opportunity or helps you to reach the audience you want anyways. And we also often suggest this kind of model or strategy, this walk, run, fly. So basically what we suggest is to start creating on TikTok, we start experiencing, learning on the platform, and after it really works, then add some paid peaks as well, add more additional tailored collaborations, creator collaborations, and this really results in a better success in the end.
Okay. 10, 15 minutes left. Does anybody have a microphone here? So we can actually come down and see if we have any questions that you'd like to offer. If not, I will carry on from even better, you're going to be the Oprah for me, thank you. If you want to raise your hand, and Victor will bring the microphone to you. We have a satisfied audience at the moment. It is the football match, they'd be shouting and cheering, but no, this is a conference, so everybody's nice and sedate and quiet. Let's look about what's going to be happening going forward, if you like, within the digital and technical innovations that are available to us. We'll go down the line on this one. Do you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, sure. So we've talked about monetization, and it's something that we are a bit behind, and we are looking to explore all the opportunities that the platforms offer us. So yeah, we are looking into that. Also, on the commercial side, what we try to do is whenever there's a prospect, we try to help the sponsorship team as well, to try to come up with a plan so so they can sell the best deal possible.
I guess some of your commercial partners will be saying to the sponsorship team, can you do some social media?
Yeah, but they ask for everything.
Well,
they ask
for. If you went to advertisers always want an early right-hand page, simple as that.
I mean, one thing that that everyone that works in social hates is when you get something that you didn't know about in the first place, and it's not meant for social. So we try to be early in the stage of the negotiations and help the sponsorship and commercial team to to offer the best deal possible. Yeah.
Like all organisations, you clearly need a spy in the advertising team to
exactly
report back to you. Apologies to any advertising people in the audience. Nicolette, from your perspective, what's TikTok going to be surprising us with? Actually, it wouldn't be a surprise then, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so innovation is very much connected to our platform, definitely, and TikTok is a unique entertainment platform that drives culture and also advances innovation across the industry, and there are new features coming out on a regular basis, also depending on market by market, because if we see that the market is developed further, then we release new features.
I guess you don't want to scare audiences, do you? Like with anybody, just to let everything out in one go.
We definitely treat every market differently, and we try to pay attention to the market specifics, also to the cultural differences and the needs of the given market. And these new features and these new releases also unlock new potential to everyone, including athletes, creators, sports clubs, organizations, but also to broadcasters. So.
Dennis, you're going to, football season-wise, I guess you're heading towards the end, are you, of the current season in Germany? So I guess what's planned for for 23-24?
Yeah, actually, this
and beyond, if you wish.
Yeah, I always hate the question. You don't have to do anything when the season break is there, but that's totally. Actually, my head is right now more aiming towards the next season and beyond. But maybe just a little bit, I want to take one step back. First of all, maybe in general, everybody's asking for more localized content in terms of content and in terms of language. So we need, as a league rights owner, we need to be scalable in the end. So there is no way that works without technology and the evolution of technology. It started with streaming offerings. We weren't able to offer Bundesliga 2 as a ready-to-air product before we had the opportunity to do everything in the cloud and deliver it via streaming. You talked about the blocked hours. Some broadcasters said, we can't receive 10, 15 satellite streams on the same time. We have Formula 1, we have other properties. So this is one evolution. The next thing definitely now is adding even more, I would say, levers to it. I talked about we have working our interactive feed. And this is something else, I would call it ambidextery. Act in the now, be successful as possible in the now, but also having and exploring the future, what is out there, to be at least or make it more likely to be successful in the future. So with that we said, and we talk about future generation, but still I think hopefully all of us, we also in 20 years consume sports. Maybe we're not considered the younger generation anymore, but anyways, we need to offer a product which suits everybody. Also on the multiple devices, from broadcasting, from TV to mobile devices. So and now I talked a lot, but in a nutshell, yeah, technology will be crucial also to keep on developing these kind of things and being able to offer it in the different varieties.
Oh, well, that is good news both for Tyson and for Jody, who I'll come to next. What do you have to help these guys along?
Yeah, so I think really addressing all the things that you've just been speaking about, which is, at its heart, being a media hub that addresses all the live clipping and distribution use cases that you need, like in one holistic platform. That's really important. There's a lot of synergies to have everything, when you have everything in one place. The capability to create multi-versions of content and to localize that content for different regions, but also for the different platforms that the audience is fragmented on. And also the capability to speed up all of those elements using what we call Storybot, which is an AI, which assists the creation of clips, highlights for sports, automation.
I'm assuming the technology exists to know, be it based on, I don't know, crowd noise or something, the moment where the match gets exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So all those points of interest, you can have those automatically generated, rather than having teams of content producers creating that content manually, so that speeds things up. And of course you can have all the graphics and distribute all in one step, one automated step. So what that means is content creators are free to focus on other aspects of storytelling, which an AI can't do.
Yet.
Right? Yet. But also things like AI can be used to create verticalization of content or different ratios of content and add graphics and stuff like that. So we've invested very heavily on that front for years. So that's really important. And more recently with the acquisition of Zype, which is an OTT platform, is making sure that all of the content is available on only operated platforms. So, fast is a really big thing. And play out VOD to live capabilities is very important, as well as the monetization aspects of that as well.
Thijs, what can you add to the mix of ever-emerging technologies and services?
Yeah, I think there's three things that keep us awake and that we definitely double down on at this point in time. We come from a world where basically measurement, right, and quality of experience on video was key, but we have actually nailed the problem of broadening the scope from video to basically the complete app, right? Because video experience is key, but what is the actual user doing and experiencing also from an app perspective? Why is that relevant? Because you want to have actionable insights that help you learn to influence or to optimize the customer journey. That's one. Secondly, time state. And this is great because as a commercial guy I can talk about nerdy tech things, but what is time state for us is a big thing because it basically starts creating a context between events that you measure and basically connect the two of them. Let me give you two examples, right? If people are increasing consumption of certain content on certain devices over time, you want to make the connection. This is one of the hardest things to do when you start collecting data, making the correlation between the data. Time, state, crucial. So that's what we have. And the third and the last thing that we are doubling down on is the actionability part. So basically further implementing artificial intelligence, basically running on top of all that video and app data, one unified place to basically help our customers to even take the right decision even more faster, automated or let's say initiated for our customers to take a decision, right? So time state is a crucial one, AI is a crucial one, and one unified way of measuring and provide actionable data on video as well as on in-app.
I guess above all, this is really ultimately about storytelling and telling the story of 90 minutes or longer or shorter to the fans, and using the technology in different ways. Jodie, for example, I think you've done something of telling the story of the Breeders' Cup, which I think is the big Australian horse race, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was quite an interesting project. One, it was just after COVID, so all the social distancing rules were in place. But also they wanted to really bring in like the traditional sort of broadcast coverage, and stream that and make clips of that, make highlights. But also they wanted to bring a lot of authenticity to the coverage as well. So they had teams of ENG teams, but actually with mobile phones, streaming and filming the crowd, and also the horse owners cheering on their horses, and also the...
So like flipping from one to another, presumably?
Yes, exactly. So that was part of the actual live feed coverage, but also we were recording all those streams into our platform, restreaming it to social and owned and operated platforms, but also making clips of that. So if you imagine, the content that we were creating and distributing to, the short form platforms, or the more short form platforms like TikTok and, Instagram and stuff like that, that was more the, over-the-shoulder content that was being clipped up and published, whereas, the broadcast content was more going to YouTube and owned and operated platforms. So it was a great project.
Yeah, great story, which I think will probably draw the session to a close. So thank you all very much for taking part. I hope you found it informative as well.